My recommendation with regards to seeing a mental health professional is do it when you're doing well, right? Don't wait for it to become a problem. Don't wait for it to feel like it's taking over your life to see a professional. There is inherent shame and stigma and disgust attached to these things, right? The open conversations about masturbations don't necessarily happen between parents and their children. In such a structure, if you want to proactively reach out, to a therapist, and you want to talk to them about how you're feeling with regards to masturbation, and you want to masturbate more mindfully, that is something that you can absolutely do. And if you do find that, like I said, it doesn't have to just be that you're finding yourself being increasingly dependent on masturbation. It could also be because you're constantly feeling shameful, you're constantly feeling guilty when you are masturbating. That is when you can speak with a professional as well. So remember that there's no such thing as too soon to speak with a professional, right? And in fact, like when you're not doing well, right? Like, let's say you're really, really sad. Your attempt at that point of time is going to be to not be sad, right? To come to a space where you come to your window of tolerance. That's what it's called. Basically just come to a space where you're feeling a little bit more in control of yourself, where you're feeling a little bit more settled. So at that point of time, your focus is not really to achieve and to do really great. But in fact, if you speak with a mental health professional when you're doing well, and you discuss topics like this, discuss topics around, sex and masturbation and things that you might have heard, engage with posts that are more pleasure affirmative, it will actually allow for you to reframe that narrative that we've been fed, those negative messages about self pleasure and pleasure in general that we've been taught to internalize. I would say that there is no such thing as too soon. But the second that you feel like, this is something that is taking over your life, or this is something that is causing a lot of negative emotions, is when you should absolutely speak with a professional. So there are several professions that one can speak to in case they're struggling with masturbation or emotions around it, or are struggling to find the right technique for them. So of course one can speak with a sex educator, which is what I do. You can let's say do a group session, you can do a one-on-one session. Now that is not a therapeutic space. It is more a space for you to learn about techniques, to learn about how you can center your pleasure and explore other ways of masturbation. If you find that you are someone who's feeling some sort of a dysfunction, if you find that you're ejaculating too quickly, or if you find that you're not able to orgasm at all and you're really struggling with that, then I would recommend speaking with, like, let's say, a sexologist, right? A sexologist would be able to guide you on any sort of dysfunction and any sort of like health issue, physical health issue, or sexual health issue that you might be facing. But of course, everything is also linked to one's hormonal health, for example. So even speaking with an endocrinologist of like continued dryness, or speaking with a gynecologist about it can be useful. Let's say you are facing some sort of an issue with your foreskin, you can also speak with a urologist, and you can get that sorted. You can also speak with, like I said, a therapist, a mental health professional. There are, of course, sex therapists. There are also therapists who specialize in sexuality, sex and sexuality counseling, who will also be able to help you out, let's say, process any sort of emotions that might be coming up for you. It's a body-mind experience, masturbation, right? So it has to do with, as much to do with your mind as it has to do with your body. So if there is someone that you feel like you'd like to talk to, sometimes even being a part of a listening circle, which is facilitated by a group facilitator, can also be something that you could try if you are someone who's not fully comfortable, going all in and speaking with a medical professional yet. But yeah, there are various professionals who should be able to help you out with this process. Do your research as to, whether they're affirming, whether even if you were to just Google them and see the kind of reviews that they have around this topic, that could be very useful. And yeah, if you are a person, if you are a menstruator and you want to speak with, let's say, a gynecologist, there is a crowdsourced list of non-judgmental gynecologists that one can refer to. You can find a gynecologist in your city. There are also organizations like Proactive for Her, which offer online consultations where you can speak with a gynecologist who is non-judgmental and who's someone who will be able to understand you. So feel free to reach out to a professional in case you find that you are feeling increasingly dependent. You feel like feelings of shame and guilt are coming up for you, or you feel like you're struggling with the right technique. You feel like you're not able to achieve orgasm, or you feel like you're orgasming too soon. There are a bunch of professionals who are available at your disposal. You can consult them through an online consultation at the privacy and comfort of your own home, or you can go to a clinic and meet them offline as well. So yeah, so don't hesitate to seek help. Recognize that the shame is not your own voice. It is something that has been fed to you through the media, through, let's say, the sex negative ideals that our parents and caregivers might have. Some things that we might have heard in passing, even at school. So remember that, like, firstly, it's not your own voice. You are not at fault. It's okay to hesitate. There is such a stigma and taboo around anything to do with sex and pleasure in our society, especially sexual pleasure, that your hesitance or however you're feeling is really, really normal. I would say, like, one place for you to start would be to just start maybe writing some things down, right? Start journaling about it, or start sending yourself voice notes. If you live with your parents and you're afraid that they might find out about it, you can tear and you can dispose of it. But just start to externalize what is happening on the inside, right? Like, how are you feeling? What is this fear? What is this shame? Just sit with yourself, and even if you were to just sit somewhere and have a conversation with yourself out loud as if you were talking to someone, that is a good place for you to start. If you feel like there is a friend that you can trust, with whom you can have this conversation, of course check with them for their boundaries, and be respectful if they are not comfortable with it. But if they are, then that's another space where you can talk. Find spaces like this where you can also start talking about some of these things that you might be going through. And just see if over a period of time you're feeling comfortable enough to speak with a therapist. If any mental health professional, any even physical health or sexual health professional makes you feel ashamed, or makes you feel like you're doing something wrong, or shames you actively, then they are actually not the right professional for you. What they're doing is a great disservice to you. So remember that you have a choice. Like, think of it like this, right? If you go to a shop and someone gives you really bad quality goods, you're not going to keep going back to the shop. You're going to say, hey, this shop sells really stale bread. I'm not going to go back to them. I'm actually actively going to complain that they gave me stale bread. So think of a doctor consultation or meeting with a professional like that. If they are making you, they're actually supposed to help you, in fact, open up, even if you're scared. So if they're not able to do that, then they're actually not capable, and they're not a great healthcare professional for you to continue to speak to. So start small, take baby steps. Don't feel like you need to say everything and talk to someone about everything in one go. You can take baby steps. You can decide how much you want to reveal and how much you want to not reveal. And I also just want to say that your fear is valid and it's normal, but your fear doesn't mean that that you're doing something wrong by talking about it or by choosing to address an issue.